Okay, so is there any question? Oh, yes.
I have a question. What is the population of West Sumatra?
About 6.2 million.
What's that?
6.2 million.
6.2. Okay. But what is the education level of your target
Education
population?
level?
Yeah. Are they mostly like high school graduate, or can you describe
What's
that?
the problem? Yeah.
I could follow up with you a little bit later.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your question, but I'm sorry I don't have the fixed data about the level education right now. But in West Sumatra province, if we compare to the other province in Indonesia, West Sumatra is not the level education is better, yeah, than the other province. I think in the ranks about the 8th rank. Yeah. So we have actually in West Sumatra we have 140 university. 140, yeah, 140, yeah, 140, yeah, universities in West Sumatra province. So I think you can imagine about the level education, yeah. But our policy in Indonesia, until the SMP, senior, junior, yeah, until junior high school is the obligation for the all people in Indonesia to study until the junior high school. But in West Sumatra, above that, so in senior high school. So I think the majority in West Sumatra graduate from the senior high school, and some of them continue to the university. Yeah.
That's really good to know. Let me just give you a little bit about my background.
Yes.
My name is Lani Saiger.
Yes.
I was born and raised in Jakarta for
Oh,
the
I see.
first 21 years of my life.
Okay.
And then I went to the United States and get my higher education.
Okay.
I am a CPA, accountant by training,
No.
and I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The state of Wisconsin right now is going through a lot of growth. With the Foxconn, a Taiwan company, will be creating 13 or 15 million jobs within the next, I would say, 2 years or so. So they're in needs of like IT, engineering, and also in America, I don't know if you know or not, there's a big shortage of nurses, nursing, any kind of level, like hospital care. So I'm trying to bridge the gap between what Indonesia could offer and to meet the opportunity that's going to exist in the United States. That's why I'm asking this question.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I will follow up with you.
Okay, thank you.
The next question, please.
In trade, when you're exporting, what's sort of like the channel? Are you exporting directly to what's the path? Is it to Singapore? Because we just looking at facilities opening in Australia and Papua New Guinea for trade, and we realize Indonesia would be great for trade. So what would be the channel?
So far the channel by Jakarta, yeah, from Padang to Jakarta. But some of them Padang to Bali,
Okay.
yeah, Padang to Denpasar. After come to Denpasar, export to the Japan, to USA. But from the sea, I think we have the seaport in West Sumatra. We call it the Teluk Bayu. I think export from Teluk Bayu also available to go to Middle East, go to Europe and the other country by directly, but by flight so far to Jakarta. But actually we have flight to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, also to Singapore. But I don't know exactly about I think maybe some trading by flight to Singapore, also Kuala Lumpur, but not big like the tuna. Yeah, tuna I think is the special treatment export. So they have to export by the Jakarta or Bali. But the other trading, I think, on the Kuala Lumpur and Singapore is available.
Thank you so much. Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank the Consul General for your gracious invitation. I'm honored to be here and have the opportunity to share this fantastic information with the governor. I have just one question that again is informative in nature. I think this type of events are fantastic to educate a lot of the community here in the Midwest that may not know what opportunities are up there. Could you talk a little bit about what is the regulatory frame, the legal frame for investment in many of the areas that you had mentioned before, particularly since we have some companies from the chamber here that they are on energy or they work on the energy sector. Just general information about the framework for investment. Thank you.
Ms. Laura, thank you for your question. Actually, about the regulatory policy about the investment, Indonesia we have separate divide to the central government and also to local government. I think Mr. Anton, Anton is from the central government. They know about how to mention to deliver about the central government policy about the investment. Maybe our colleague Mr. Anton can give the information. But in my authority in the local government, we serve all of the investors to come to West Sumatera province. So all of you need about the recommendation, about the license, and many requirements we provide to all the investors. I think very fast. If you come to our office, you give all the requirement. I can give you fast and quick about your recommendation and the others. And then not only give the recommendation, we have the committee to helping the investor to operate the investment in our province. For example, if the investor has the problem with the people, in the local people, so I help them to come to the people, to negotiate and to the others. So we have to try to solve the problem that the investor face to develop. I think this is our policy. So if you want to come to our province or your colleague from the US, I think not offered, please call me and I want to give you the priority to give all the need you want to invest in Indonesia. Please apply.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Irwan Prayitno, Mr. Governor, for the question of Ms. Laura Ortega. For the foreign direct investment in Indonesia is quite easy to invest in Indonesia. The first step that they have to take is to know that the minimum investment in Indonesia for the foreign is around $700,000 US. This is the minimum investment, not the paid-up capital. For the paid-up capital is less than that. The exact number, I think it's around 2.5 billion rupiah, or equal to almost $200,000 US. This is the paid-up capital. That's the first information that you have to know. And then the second is we have the regulation of the foreign negative investment list. This list contains a number of the business sector that are allowed for the foreign direct investment and also that are not allowed, or they have to cooperate with the Indonesian local partner, such as the geothermal, as mentioned by Mr. Irwan Prayitno before that. For the geothermal, for the capacity less than 1 megawatt, foreign direct investment cannot join in, cannot participate in this business sector. But for the capacity less than 10 megawatts, 1 megawatt up to 10 megawatts, they can have this business for about 49% of the share of the capacity for the share, yeah, 49%, 49. And then for the more than 10 megawatts, they can have their share up to 100%. This is the negative investment list. And then the third part that you have to submit your business license to our office in Jakarta in the Investment Coordinating Board. You can submit it through online so that it makes you easier for you to open a business in Indonesia. We do offer tax incentives such as tax holiday, tax allowance, as well as the free duty import for the material and machinery. And we do have facility for some of region that are offered by the local government, not only in the central government, but also some of local government also offers for the tax incentives. I just also want to add that Mr. Governor said before that actually West Sumatra is very unique compared to other provinces in Indonesia. If you know about the other province in Indonesia that only offer tourism sector, and the other parts is only offers for the cultural. In West Sumatra is very unique. You can have everything you're looking for of the regional that offer. You can have you can get tourism, food and beverages, also cultural. So I think that what Governor said, 25 hours flight from Chicago to Padang is not a big deal. It's very well worth it for you to visit West Sumatra. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite the gentleman at the last row. He's already.
Consul General, thank you. Thank you for your kind invitation this morning. Governor, thank you for visiting Chicago. And I wish to extend our appreciation for the presentation. I thought it was extremely well done, well organized. You covered all the aspects, I would say sufficiently to whet our appetite.
Pardon? Can you repeat?
Okay, I promise this is my last question. Our company develops a lot of technology. We're in nanotechnology, so we're in energy and also trade. We hold significant patents. We've done a number of things in different areas. One of the things that we're looking at, I have two questions, things of interest to us. We're very interested in Indonesia, been there a few times. And we think it's a very strong area as opposed to us actually situating ourselves in China. We see this as a close area because you have different minerals and things of that nature. We have a whole lot of technology. Question is, and we represent a body of nanoscientists, things of that nature. Question would be, is in your mining, do you have rare earth? That would be of interest to us. Another thing is that if we were able to do that, we would look at it as a base where we can bring actual technology manufacturing. We're actually looking at our new power over fiber, where we're converting fiber links to actual energy, and we're producing about 1 megawatt of power that you can put on each floor in what we call a load cell. I can explain this to you with our partners. We're with Siemens and some of the other people. So this is a significant employment tool because it means that it has to be produced, it has to be installed, and it has to be serviced. And when you start looking at every building on the planet, there's not enough unemployed people with building jobs. So we plan on introducing it the fall of this year. We introduced it Crete in South Korea last year at the International Telecom meeting. And we're interested in trying to put this technology and some of our other things in areas where we love Indonesia. I love Indonesia.
Thank you for your information. I think we can follow up this information.
Thank you for your inquiry. But I think the rare earth availability, not exactly that we found so far, is not exactly in West Sumatra at this time, but in Bangka Belitung and in Malukus, there are several areas that is already being available for rare earth investment at this time. So that is what happened on that subject. I just also want to inform the lady over from Wisconsin is that I think we have tried about the nursing availability, the nurses availability from Indonesia. The problem is actually the U.S. So you've got to talk to the government here for the visa or the working visa capability. So that is a tough sell. So I don't know. At this time, there's a lot of supplies used to be from the Philippines and India, but I don't know what next that is coming in terms of requirements for the U.S. because the Philippines and the Indian has raised their ante. They are coming more towards more sophisticated care business rather than the normal type of nursing thing. So, but Indonesia certainly will be very much interested and available for that.
I could follow up on your comment.
Yeah.
I'd like to give an update also to our Ibu Consul General about what I've been doing in Wisconsin. I was able to recruit one of the technical college, which has about 95% of passing rate of nursing's exam. It's called NCLEX. And I've also been talking to the executive director of the national, who's overseeing all this nursing's license. So what we're doing is right now, and I'm also recruiting the help of the governor of Wisconsin, or minimally the lieutenant governor. So I'm just kind of working slowly, step by step, baby steps, and then we're probably going to try to get on your calendar and to get to them. See, with the support of the government, at least in Wisconsin, and because I live in Wisconsin, then we could make a petition that the working visa should be, at this point I don't know. I've identified 2 immigration attorneys. Both of them I have used in the past when I was recruiting people from, not quite from Indonesia, but foreign students, especially Chinese or Indonesian that's working here that wants to work to get like experience, the on-the-job training. So I'm kind of recruiting, and I'm also in contact with the embassy, the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta with the commercial sector. So I don't know what's but we're just gonna keep on working. So with God willing, we will be successful. And no, I understand that the Philippines, I don't know about the India, but the Philippines is very prominent here. So one of the biggest is the language. But while I was in Jakarta, I interviewed 3 of these candidates who's currently working, just waiting for them to come here. And their English is great. I only interviewed them via phone, but I will be going back again in April 10th, so I will kind of tighten things up. I'm working with the BPM2 TKI. Yeah, right. Yeah, who's heading out the initiative to export skilled labor from Indonesia. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to make a difference and see, with different helps from different people, we could make this happen. I think we will. The university and the technical college, they're really serious. They're willing to open even a satellite campus. So. Thank you.
I think I'd like to add, nursing actually is one of our main interests in terms of manpower. The problem with US is that it's a certification problem. Our certificate is not recognized by the US government, and what we are trying to do is to bring the NCLEX to Indonesia along with their curriculum system. Now, I think the discussion is still going on within our health ministry with the NCLEX. So hopefully this year there will be.
I think we've done it maybe 8 years ago.
Yes.
We'll bring the university to Indonesia to work with some of the nursing schools and the hospitals.
But that will never happen if the immigration is not going to help. So I think you can in fact we propose as a CSR, we propose to set up a training centers here with some of the community colleges that provide the training here for several months. Well, there are several training types here, and so they are licensed in the U.S. So they're not even licensed in Indonesia. So they can be. We can send it. The fact that they can come here is the problem.
Yes.
So it's not the education.
Yeah, you're right, one. Immigration is also another problem.
That's the biggest problem.
Yes, but we still would like to have some kind of cooperation, whether in terms of bringing the NCLEX to Indonesia or cooperation among private to private, particularly with universities and also B2B, business to business. We look at possibilities because we have actually quite capable nurses in Indonesia, and we have yes, and also we have enough supply of nurses, except that they have to go to different countries, to get this certification, as well as the visa problem.
Okay, I would like to invite another question. Yes, please, Pak Martino.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. We would like to thank to the Honorable Consul General Ibu Rosmarawati Khalid for this insight and a wonderful program. And also we would like to welcome the Honorable Governor of West Sumatera, Bapak Irwan Prayitno and staff. Welcome and please enjoy Chicago. Chicago is one of the metropolitan cities in USA, which is a hub for the economic dynamic in the USA. And we are also glad to have Bapak Edward Wanandi as a chairman of the IDN USA Board of Directors. And here as a president of the, I introduce myself as Martino Tanka, the president of the IDN USA. And my question is related to the diaspora, with the Indonesian diaspora. And if we talk with the diaspora, we always talk about food. And Padang is a world famous food, especially rendang. And in Indonesia, the Padang restaurant chain is a very growing business. In every cities, you can find Padang cuisine. But the problem here, not in the United States. And in the United States, people in locally here, they also like to taste another food from another country. And our question here, is there any plan in your mind, in your administration, how to promote Padang cuisine, authentic cuisine to worldwide, especially in United States? Because it's very challenging promotion and one of our soft power. Thank you so much.
Terima kasih pertanyaannya. Ya, actually ethnic in West Sumatra province, they are Minangkabau, Minangkabau ethnic. They have many kind of food in Minangkabau ethnic, especially in West Sumatra. So I think if someone as tourists come to West Sumatra, not only go to the tourist destination, also they want to searching the food and culinary and eat the culinary and many kind. Not only rendang, but the famous in the world only rendang. Maybe rendang like stick in the USA or in the Europe people stick, but curry and the others I think not suitable with the spices and many hot and the others. So the question is how to encourage the promotion rendang to over the world. Last night we also mentioned to Ibu Konjen how to help us in West Sumatra province to promote rendang to over the world because of the obstacle of the problem right now is the beef is not easy to export to the other country. Beef, meat product. Meat product. So
regulatory issue.
I think this is the regulatory issue for each country. For example, in Australia, we have the importer in Sydney. She is the Indonesian, but stay in Sydney, and all the product from Indonesia export to Sydney by her. But she want to import rendang to Australia because she knows the rendang is very delicious, and now about the rendang detail, so she want to sell rendang in Australia. She's the importers, but the problem is the quarantine in the Australia. So the policy of the Australia cannot import the meat to the Australia. I think also from the USA and Europe and the other country. I think because there's some reason why the country don't receive the imported meat. I think this the problem. Jadi itu problemnya, Pak. But I want to communicate to Ministry of the Training in Indonesia how to solve this problem. Mungkin Pak Irwan bisa bantu tuh bagaimana caranya.
I think with this, I think because of the process, it takes so many hours, and that if you do it in the US in a big way, that will be not cost effective. I think that's why. Otherwise, I think we have the best beef in the world here in the US. We can use the US beef and make rendang. It's triple the quality. So I think just the fact that the process is taking so long, that will be a little bit of cost prohibition. So
Is that why Japan brought their beef to the U.S. and had the ranchers do the, what is that, the Wagyu beef? Yes.
They actually grow the Wagyu here.
Yeah, that's what I mean, they brought it here to process the U.S.
Yeah.
No,
You cannot drink, you cannot eat pork meat. Yeah.
is it, you know, I know when you say Australia, that's right next door to you, almost. That's like, and I know they have this big sanitation issue where you gotta fumigate everything. Is that like one of the holdups, or what?
It's the same thing, but the funny thing is that most of our beef comes from Australia, so it's worse. So all the beef we import to Indonesia and make rendang, and we export, we cannot do it. So that is a little bit funny. So at least in the US we haven't tried because it's too far. But Australia is close. We need to do something about that.
Have you ever thought about doing this over like a blockchain? Where you open up the market, and, because quite honestly, you know, when you start looking at trade, when you start looking at exchanges, only about 30% of the actual trade of commodities actually going through exchanges.
No.
But it's a regulatory,
This
this
is
particular case is a
regulatory
regulatory issue,
It's
not
not
a
that you cannot
trade
import.
issue.
You just not allowed to import beef. That's it. Whatever
Is there
beef.
any of those issues being discussed under the IFA or, you know, any other trade agreement or bilateral agreement or multinational agreement currently? So you guys-
Not on the beef side.
Not on the beef side.
But we discussed last night about the possibility of about a promotion of food from Padang, and I think rendang is actually has the actually good potential because it's got the brand is already there. Except that it's not allowed to export to the US. And I think depending on the size of our diaspora in the United States, I think we can start with them. We have in Chicago one in the restaurant, Rizzo Republic, and then is it Happy? She's the one who caters for us. She will open also a restaurant hopefully in spring. So I think maybe we can work with Indonesian restaurants, but in terms of the possibility of it, of course, is not, and that is not cost effective. But one possibility is exporting canned beef, rendang. So this is what we are trying to do, and look at also the possibility of having exporting halal products, because West Sumatra is just given an award as the best halal culinary products in the world. So I think that's the strength of West Sumatra, which we should cultivate. And tomorrow we're going to meet with Ivanka to know about the process of exporting to the US of halal products. We'll see how it turns out, particularly with the canned food. So this is what we like to see. But again, in terms of the real rendang, it's hard to expect that people here will cook for 8 hours, but frankly. So, but in terms
Actually,
of
they don't need to cook for 8 hours.
the
Our meat is so much better here.
the ready-made spices are already available in the supermarkets here. So, so we just made a promotion of rendang, and then, well, we see how it turns out. I think we need also a breakthrough from people from West Sumatra about how to cook rendang as good as it is in West Sumatra with the taste, but in cook it in such a short time. That's I think a challenge.
Hopefully same results.
There's a question.
Okay, over there, there's a question from gentleman over there.
Hello, I have two questions. First is for the Honorable Governor Prayitno and regarding West Sumatra, and perhaps Anton can speak about the overall country. So the question is regarding residential real estate development opportunities. So you have almost 6 million people. Is there much of a trend to looking for investors to improve the quality of the residential real estate, and is that something you're actively trying to promote in West Sumatra and across Indonesia? And then my second question is for Honorable Consul General Chalid. What is the level of interest that you're seeing at this present time from Indonesian investors in investing in the United States and in the Midwest in particular, given some of the developments that we're seeing in tax reform and deregulation in the U.S., making the U.S. a more attractive place for investment? Thank you.
Okay, the first question about the real estate. Yeah. Actually, I want to give the real information. In West Sumatra province is not good, yeah, for the investment in real estate, because of in my presentation there is no proposal about the real estate. Maybe real estate, I think in Java, yeah, Pak Edward, yeah, in Java. Because Pak Edward is the born in West Sumatra, so he now detail about the situation and condition and potential in West Sumatra province. Begitu Pak ya, real estate ya, tidak cocok ya. Yeah. So we only propose about the mining, about the energy, like the geothermal and the others. Yeah.
Real estate related to tourism is okay.
Okay, yeah. Real estate related to tourism is okay. Like resort, the hotel, and the facilities for the destination for the tourism is okay. Yeah. But for the housing is not visible in West Sumatra province. Yang kedua.
Yeah, thank you. I think I have to admit that Indonesian businessmen are latecomers in terms of global investment. We have a big market, 250 million people in Indonesia, and but we have few actually successful Indonesians who are doing business abroad. I think one of them is Mr. Edward Warnandi. He's a big player in Indonesia as well as the United States. But in terms of sectors, I think for Indonesian businessmen, mainly in oil business. Dan was in a report, I think, familiar on this. And we can see that many Indonesians come to Texas area, Houston area, to explore about cooperation, possible cooperation for oil. And also what we receive in terms of inquiries on the cement possibilities and also pulp. So I think we have big factories in Indonesia in these two sectors. So these are two sectors that I think will be attracting Indonesian business from to come to the US. I think that's what we know so far. I don't know, Pak, mungkin maybe Pak.
Most of our concentration on the Indonesian investments into the US is in the West Coast, and particularly now in the IT. We invested a lot in fintech, the financial related technology, we have myself as venture capital that is based in San Francisco, with mostly Indonesian investors' money. So it is like Ibu Konjen said, it is relatively small compared with a lot of other countries like Singapore, Malaysia, and China, India. But certainly there's a lot of individuals that invested through their younger generations that actually went to school in the US and have some friends, and through that a lot of personal or private investments that goes directly to either to the companies or to the fund related investment like VCs and things like that. So operational, like Ibu says, is mostly will be in the pulp and paper projects, and there's a lot of interest this time that is going to come from the palm oil based industry that will be coming to the US in the future. That is as far as I can see what our potentials are.
Okay. Is there any more question? Oh, okay, Ms. Lara, please.
Just maybe a follow-up question for you. I was aware that a lot of the investment, it comes not, in terms of foreign direct investment is a greenfield investment or a brownfield, but it actually comes in the way of investing into private funds or venture capital that then invest, into whatever the companies here, especially on the IT. So, number one question, it's with the idea of acquiring technology or bringing technology, meaning are the VCs and the private funding looking into acquiring some startups that they have interesting technology, or it's more about bringing the technology that exists and
it's the first one that you mentioned.
And then take it back.
It is more of, we are looking for the technology that are developed here, and then bring it back to Indonesia. That is the majority of that, maybe. Other than that, it's also some of the companies that is already investing in Indonesia and trying to bring that investment back here. But that is very minimal.
So on that, the follow-up question is there any kind of, initiative on the part of the government, whether it is the local government or the central government, in terms of boosting innovation and therefore, trying to facilitate the introduction or the transfer of certain technologies that maybe come from the United States, like Lee was saying, on water, on energy, on fintech, etc., mobile, payment, any of that. Currently, any kind of legislation framework that may incentivize that kind of transfers?
Basically, that is available, and depending on what route you take. See, normally the problem with if it's government money, it's open for everybody. So definitely a lot of these investments coming from the private sectors because they want to acquire the technology to enhance their product or enhance their capability, not giving it to everybody. So it's the same thing with what we have here in the US. If it's government money, it's open for the public.
I just would like to add some information about the incentive for the new technology. Actually, our government offered the tax holiday that I mentioned before. It's offer for those companies who introduce the new technology, as well as the pioneer industry that have not been existed in Indonesia. So it's a very big opportunity for foreign investors to invest in such high technology. And I also want to comment from the question that mentioned before that. I think there are two factors that why Indonesian businessmen are struggling to invest to America. We are not talking about the geographical barrier, but the first thing is the insufficient fund. You know that it's quite big money for Indonesians, especially for the small medium business in Indonesia to invest abroad. And the second thing, and I think this is the most important thing, is that we have the market. Indonesian market is very huge, and also actually since 2015, December 2015, the ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, introduced the ASEAN Economic Community. So the market in Indonesia, not only in Indonesia, but the region of the ASEAN, I think is accounted about 2.2 trillion US dollar, and it's the third biggest market in the world after US and the EU. So I think that's the reason why Indonesian businessmen focus to expand their business in Indonesia or rather than in abroad. Thank you.
Okay, we still have 5 more minutes for another question and answer. Please, the gentleman at the last row with a red shirt.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, my name is Richard. I represent a company importing seafood from overseas. I have a question for the governor of West Sumatra. What is the main export from West Sumatra in terms of seafood? Tuna, okay.
Udang galang bukan. Udang juga selain. Oh ya. Udang kayak apa, Pak?
Shrimp is also available, but we're discussing about the kind of shrimp.
As far as tuna and some other products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You know the West Sumatra province is in the Indian Ocean. Yeah, Indian Ocean. So we have the island in the Mentawai Island is the one of the regions in West Sumatra province. So we have the potential in the tuna fish. Yeah, tuna fish. So far we export tuna from West Sumatra to Japan and USA. But the problem is the technology, ship, to catch the tuna from the sea. So if you want to invest in the fishery, I think feasible. Not only trade with the tuna, but also how to catch the tuna from the sea. So right now the investor catch the tuna, and then they also themselves export to Japan to their colleague to the other abroad in this thing.
Udang Faname.
Faname udang Faname. Dari Faname ada udang Faname is the scream. The name is Faname. Also we export to the USA. So mana? Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Udang scream Faname. You know Faname? The name of the kind of the scream. We also export from the West Sumatra.
Well, another question. What's the estimate volume, or quantity
Oh yeah.
of the tuna you're talking about in terms of tons of metric ton? What?
Okay, I think we have the big resource in the marine in West Sumatra, but if you mentioned about the volume depend on the technology, ship and I think how to catch the tuna, because
right.
available mainly in the marine, in our ocean. So,
okay. Thanks.
Okay, we still have time for one more question.
Thank
Please,
you.
please.
Yes, I am attorney Demetrius Evans of the Till Firm here, and also Ivan Gonzalez. This has been very enlightening. Thank you so much. So my question really goes to tourism. I was reading about nomadic tourism, and I wondered if you could expound upon that, as well as just when I first started doing the research on the internet, there's a lot of talk about the volcanoes, and it brought up a little bit of anxiety in me. And so I just wonder, obviously that's not an image that we would want tourists to have. So then what would you be doing just about painting a different picture, sort of a different brand? And then, just more about the tourism and the people, what people would see, what would be the real reason for visiting.
Yeah. Actually, in West Sumatra has some volcano mountain, but right now there is no eruption of the volcano mountain in West Sumatra, so very safe for all the tourism when they want to come to West Sumatra. So we promote tourism from the West Sumatra regarding the nature. We have the many good nature, not only beach, also mountain, lake, and many kind of the nature available in West Sumatra. So many tourism come to West Sumatra to visit the nature destination. We just now deliver the video, some of the destination. Besides that, only we promote culture and culinary and heritage, and some event. We also have some event like just now mentioned about the race, cow race, and others.
I'd like to add that I think geographically, it's a fact that what the scientists said, that Indonesia sits at the ring of fire. There's so many volcanoes. Some of them are dormant, some of them are active. So you might hear a while ago about the eruption in Bali, but Bali is safe now. And but in terms of the topographic itself, I think volcanoes can be attractive. It can be a challenge because some of the mountain, like in Central Java, it's a Bromo Mountain. There are actually a lot of tourists going to look at the crater directly, and there are also cultural events in that area. So it's depending on the condition of the mountains themselves. But the government will issue advisory just in case there's a possible calamities that will be happening in certain areas. The volcanoes are actually good for our agriculture, because that's why our land is so fertile. So I think so many mountains, so many opportunities, so many sceneries to see, and some of them actually are also in the sea. So that's why you might know tsunami in Aceh in 2004. So I think this is not a unique Indonesia, but the condition is like that, and the advisory will be issued from time to time. And we work also with other countries, just in case disaster happen in Indonesia, including with the US, because as I mentioned the governor last night, that before I came here, actually I work with the Disaster Management Agency in Indonesia, also with the US Coast Guard, in mitigating about the disaster management. Also in terms of the ASEAN countries, so we have a network with other countries when something big erupting in Indonesia, and then we want to be sure that they're ready to address the problem.
Thank you very much. And now, as we have come to the end of the question and answer session, I would like to invite all of you to give a big applause for the West Sumatra governor. Now, we would like to invite the West Sumatra governor and also the Consul General of Republic of Indonesia in Chicago to exchange the token of appreciation. Mr. Governor and Madam Consul General, you may please take the floor. A miniature of the traditional house of West Sumatra.
Big house. Oh yeah.
A plaque wrapped in a bucket case. A very pretty one. Thank you very much, Mr. Governor and Madam Consul General. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now as we have come to the end of the program, we would like to thank you for your presence in this program. We do really hope that by this program you could acquire comprehensive knowledge about the business opportunities in West Sumatra. Now allow us to invite you to enjoy the lunch that has been served. It is a complete package of West Sumatra traditional delicacies. We have nasi padang, a set of complete rice nasi padang, including the rendang and also ayam pop. We also have satay padang, chicken pop, yes. We also have the soto padang and also the satay padang. But before we proceed to the lunch section, we would like to invite all of you to take a picture together.
No, I can't actually because I have pressure. Again.
Kan ada di oh iya, ini Mas Awis nih jago putih. Gue udah masih gajah, gue pengen pengamanan ini. Alah, gue gak tau Samsung ya,
Well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. Well, I call you later. Thank you.
Please a little.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. One more time.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
This side, 1, 2, and 3.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much once again for your presence in this program. We really hope you enjoy this program, and good afternoon.
Yeah, I actually would.